Hopeless Nightmare, and Nowhere to Run. This deck is really trying to prey on Grow Mice, so it's going to be a bit of an uphill battle for Liu.
All right, let's find out what happens. It's time for round number 12, and it's standard the rest of the way out here at the Pro Tour. Take it away, you two.
Thank you so much, Maria. Yes, indeedy, it is time for Constructed. No more draft. Everyone is very upset about that, I know. Alien Learning alongside Corey Baumeister, and we are in the construction portion of this, Corey.
Yep.
This matchup should be pretty cool.
Yep, this is kind of the bread and butter of Standard here, so this should be the good advantage for, or a good matchup for the Esper Pixie deck, but once again, everything's so close, these players are so great, it's going to be a close match for sure.
Etienne Eggenschwiler on Team Sanctum of All, not opting to play the Paragon list that a few members of the team iterated on and brought to the challenge this weekend. And Yuchen Liu is one of our co-leaders, 3 players sitting at 10-1 currently. Choosing good old Gruul, Mice baby.
Good old Gruul, yep, and we saw him play that Gruul deck a little bit yesterday and just really showed some mastery with the deck, you know, felt like all the lines, you knew exactly what he wanted to be doing, so it was really impressive to watch.
Absolutely. Let's get things underway here with a Hired Claw. This little lizard is going to get some extra damage in.
Yep, so it looks like a mulligan here from Yuchen, but does have the claw into claw to get some good damage going there. But that being said, on the other side, we do have Nowhere to Run, which has got to be the most important card in this matchup, and then ways to bounce it. So if Etienne can ever find, you know, a Pixie or anything to bounce it and have a repeatable removal spell, that's how these Pixie decks win.
Yuchen opting to ditch the Monstrous Rage to the Hopeless Nightmare, and is going to start off turn 2 with Innkeeper's Talents in for 3. Goes a little lizard.
And that was a great draw. Being able to curve out here and be mana efficient, just playing a Hired Claw there would have been so-so. You know, that being said, there is only one threat on the battlefield here, so Etienne has that perfect Nowhere to Run right now if you want to, or Etienne can be a little more patient and wait until this Innkeeper's Talent goes to target it again. But that does run afoul of maybe a Monstrous Rage, something like that. But that is not the case here in Yuchen's hand.
What about his juicier target in Emberheart Challenge?
There you go. Yep.
Because the lizard is cool, don't get me wrong, you're great. But Emberheart Challenger is really the engine that keeps this deck ticking.
Yep, absolutely. So a weird spot here for Yuchen. You don't have any great play to do, you know, having a Monstrous Rage is really the ideal thing that you can have. So even if we play Hired Claw and then we go to combat, if that Innkeeper's Talent goes on the bigger claw, it's not ideal. So it goes for the level here, which doesn't really matter when you do have Nowhere to Run as the way to interact.
It's basically, I see your hexproof and say, I care not, good sir. Follows up with the second Hired Claw. Does Etienne want to respond now?
So I think the only reason you'd want to respond now is if Yuchen has land Monstrous Rage, but there's no way Yuchen's, you know, making himself vulnerable to here. So I think you just wait till combat, see where this Innkeeper's Talent goes, and the best play for Yuchen is to put it on the smaller claw, and the best thing for Etienne is to put it on the bigger one here, as they would get more value.
Yep. Targets the bigger one. In response, Hopeless Nightmare comes down. Excuse me. No, it's a run comes down and takes care of the bigger critters, so no damage this combat for Yuchen Liu.
And of course, don't have to pay the ward with that extra text on Nowhere to Run.
Optimistic Scavenger hits the board.
And looks like we have another Nowhere to Run, plus this town ain't big enough. So just on surface value right here, Etienne has the ability to go Nowhere to Run, and then this town ain't big enough, bounce both of them, and then replay them. So, I mean, that is just another 3 removal spells with 2 cards being cast from hand.
Yeah, just ready and waiting to pounce.
Yep.
Emberheart Challenger hits the board here, and Yuchen itching to get to combat, not finding land number 3 to do anything more than 1 action per turn.
Yep, and Etienne has a nice play here of going to combat. I was wondering if we were going to wait here. Yeah, because now what happens here is if you do this pre-combat, you get rid of the challenger, you don't have this ability going on the stack, and now you kind of have to kill it anyways. So That ends up being a little brutal.
Yeah, and it also finds the third land, which we've been missing.
Yeah, so I think that was a little... But then again, you know, if you do kill it pre-combat, the hired claw gets that extra counter. So there was a give and take.
Tap land found here for Yuchen. Has an Obliterating Bolt, a card that we don't see very often in the Gruul decks nowadays. And the Manifold Mouse.
Yeah, definitely a card we're probably going to see being sided out as it's not the best card in this matchup.
It's kind of unfortunate that everything that Yuchen has discarded has been gas because, well, there's been no land drawn.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you for 3. 13. Right.
And now has the Destroy Evil available to deal with the Innkeeper's Talent if you want, or you can discount a big enough to really interact with pretty much anything.
Carplusion Forest, Obliterating Bolt on the Scavenger. Anything in response that Etienne can do? Sure
Etienne could save the Scavenger with this town ain't big enough and bounce a removal spell, but then you are wide open to take, well, let's see, 4 damage with the Hired Claw, which, you know, they're out 17, so they do have a lot of room to play with, but I don't think the Scavenger is that important. I think you just let it die.
Yeah.
It's exiled, right?
He gets exiled with Obliterating Bolts.
You get the combat.
So still 2 pieces of interaction for Etienne. And Yuchen is trying to reestablish his position as the beatdown in this matchup, which is what he should be, but life totals say differently.
Yep, absolutely. So here is the Claw getting up to 4 toughness. So you do have the ability to destroy Evil it or just bounce it.
Yeah. Alrighty, so Claw back to hand as well as a Hopeless Nightmare.
So the Hopeless Nightmare able to
gonna get
come
rid of
down and get rid of it.
Oh, sorry, little Claw. You're getting out of there if Etienne so chooses. But Overlord is
I
here.
was just going to say, Etienne really needs a way to find some value. But
And
one
Pixie, gross.
thing we have seen so much yesterday with these Overlords is this beautiful combo of being able to get ways to bounce it, and then you just put that Overlord back, replay it, then you get
So
Fear of
good.
Isolation out of the yard, pick it up, replay it, and this value engine, it's just as good as the Storm Chaser's talent. This town ain't big enough thing once it really gets going.
You know, this is a bit of a stretch in terms of comparisons, but it kind of feels like you're playing Lurrus.
Yeah.
Lurrus, oh, your puppy dog that keeps it alive dies, you bring it back, and then you just keep this value engine churning the entire time.
Yeah, if you can compare anything to Lurrus, you know you're in good company, that's for sure, as that card.
Hey, it's the right colors, just saying.
There you go. And another Pixie.
Wow.
So Pixie Overlord over and over and over again, as much as Etienne wants to do.
Sounded like you were starting a theme song there for them.
Yeah, pretty much.
Bouncy bounce, here we go. More things in the bin, more value in hand. Etienne is running away with this game at this point, you've got to think.
Yeah, and wow, just look at this value. You know, you can, with just what Etienne has, with the Pixie and the Fear of Isolation and the 2 in the graveyard, you have the ability to just on surface value, Overlord 5 times, and then go from there.
Good grief.
Yeah. Now the creature land, though, from Yuchen is able to get busy here.
Yeah, it's something at least.
Yep.
The dinosaur, it comes out as a, what, 2/4 or something? And gives +2.
Yeah, 3/4, but it
3/4.
doesn't pump itself is kind of the big thing, where it is only attacking for 4, but you know, that is still very, very good. Now there's this Destroy Evil to be able to interact with it.
Yes. Yeah, you've seen, right?
Yep. So it doesn't stay a land.
Nope, it does not stay
Yeah,
land.
you take one from the... Sorry, okay. I'll trust you. Sorry.
Just making sure life totals are where they should be. So Destroy Evil can take care of the creature if it attacks, or any consideration to go for the enchantment, the class.
Yeah, it's worth thinking about, but now Yuchen for sure knows there's something up, so it wouldn't be too out of the realm instead of animating this creature land to just level up the Innkeeper's talent. But drawing Screaming Nemesis, that's a solid play as well. But if we just drew a land, I wouldn't be too shocked if Yuchen just actually went all the way up on the Innkeepers.
Sure.
Sure.
Screaming Nemesis hits the board.
Combat. Yeah.
2 combat. It gets the counter off of Innkeeper's talents. This sounded big enough. We'll say, back you go. See you again next turn. If there is a
Or
next
will
turn.
be. Yeah, I mean, that Hopeless Nightmare making Yuchen discard it again is so sweet.
Ready?
I'm actually very interested to know how much damage Hopeless Nightmare has done at this Pro Tour alone.
Yeah, and if it's more than the Screaming Nemesis or not,
Oh,
you know?
absolutely. You know, that it's so much more difficult to interact with because, you know, not everyone's running main deck Enchantment Hate.
Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
they're prepared to kill creatures, I'll tell you that much.
And now we pretty much have it all ready to go with 4 power flying in the air plus the Hopeless Nightmare in hand. Eggenschwiler has lethal, and with just a land off the top,
Doesn't matter, right?
it
Yeah.
looks all good to go.
Yeah, Eugen just saying, it doesn't matter really. Copperline Gorge in hand. Sure, the dinosaur can block, but there's nothing on the floor that needs blocking, so yeah.
Yeah, all
It's
done
just
here.
All done and dusted here in game number 1, so just making sure Yuchen that he's not missing anything. But Etienne, you know, proving again why this deck is so powerful and so popular.
Exactly. Etienne played this very well, played it pretty aggressively.
Yeah.
But when Etienne had so much life to play with here, they just had the ability to get aggressive. And drawing that one of Overlord really changed the game. Yeah, some lists are playing 2. This one does play only 1 from Etienne, and it was amazing. It was absolutely phenomenal.
You know, a lot of people say love is all you need, but I'm going to say one of those is all you need.
Overlord is all you need, absolutely.
It is a very powerful card indeed. And, you know, like you mentioned, a lot of players are including more than. A lot of players have none of them. It just all depends what they prioritize. But I love this ability to just play around in your graveyard and bring things back. There's so many different ways to do it. It's too much value.
And it's really good at playing around some of the more popular hate cards that people bring in against you. Like, your opponent has temporary lockdown and stuff, and you're like, okay, no problem. I'm playing a 5-drop. You know, so it's a good pivot against a lot of matchups. So I've loved 2 in those when I was kind of practicing for this. But looking at this, Yuchen has a solid hand, but it's all reactive stuff. There's no creature besides that mouse we played on 1.
Oh, hello. Manifold Mass, though.
A great top deck, but
It's going to be a very dead top deck as 2 removal spells back-to-back here from Etienne.
oh yeah, and Etienne's hand is great. You know, if Etienne ever has that
Jeez,
beautiful,
Pixie Nightmare. Pixie. 3?
yeah,
Excuse me?
if Etienne ever has that 1-turn reprieve where Yuchen just doesn't play a creature, you know, then they're just going to know it is free to just go as aggressive as possible. So, I mean, this game is huge advantage to Eggenschwiler already.
I was about to say, you're going to say it's over, right? Because that's what I'm seeing. This is just, how do you overcome this?
I don't think you do. The value is just too high.
And again, no land.
Yeah, you need to be having an aggressive start from this Gruul deck to be able to beat a hand like that. But honestly, all these pixies and all these baubles and nowhere to run, this would have been tough if Yuchen had a great draw, let alone this very lackluster one.
Yeah, this is rough indeed. But yeah, even if this pixie dies to the Paw Patch formation, cool, sure, whatever. There's 2 other ones.
Yeah.
Another Hopeless Nightmare. And then you can just play... I imagine this pixie's just in the air, sitting there juggling, you know?
Yeah.
Which one would we like to deploy next?
And all that being said, I mean, there is a lot of removal here from Yuchen, so you can deal with these flyers, but that's not really the access you want to be attacking this Esper Pixie deck. You want these removal spells to push through your final points, not to, you know, stop yourself and put yourself on the defensive.
Yeah.
But cycling essentially into an untapped land was great
that was
here.
Good, yeah. Probably the best you could hope for in that situation.
16.
Takes care of one of the pixies.
Now, if we have another black source, which I don't think we do, we could have got the last card in hand. So that is a nice reprieve here from Yuchen, and basically the only good thing that's happened for Yuchen so far this game.
Yeah, you can say that again.
Go ahead.
Ooh, that's rough.
But with having a Go for the Throat in hand, you have the ability to deal with this now out-of-range creature from the Nowhere to Run. So that is really big for Etienne as well.
Yep. Yuchen fighting his way back into this just to try and get something on the board and, you know, have it stick. So Sentinel, the Nameless City, is going to survive for the time being, but there is a go for the throat in hand, so probably not.
Yep.
Not here yet.
Doesn't die to the permanence, but the instant will get him.
Yeah, and now the one thing that's awkward with returning the Nowhere to Run. Oh, I guess the Innkeeper's Talent is not leveled yet.
Not yet,
So you
no.
can still just go for the Throat It straight away.
Looks like we're going to kick things off with Fear of Isolation, bouncing Hopeless Nightmare. Hopeless Nightmare back down. Heartfire Hero goes bye-bye.
All right. Etienne deciding to attack the hand first before dealing with this creature.
Take it for 2, sorry. Red 12? Yes. Go ahead.
All right, but now Yuchen being able to attack, get a map here, you know, get a little bit of value going, and the Soulstone Sanctuary to be able to animate. Not
Yeah.
so bad.
Land on top. That goes to hand. So no counter, but
Just to basically draw a card.
Yeah.
Not so bad.
now I think we'll be leveling up.
Yeah, nothing else to do with the mana unless you want to like sack a food. We're going to get a map after we attack. So there's the ability to sack that map, which you almost assuredly want to do because drawing a land would be a train wreck.
How many? Yeah. Yep.
Sentinel getting
At
in,
15? Yes.
getting some damage. Okay. Manifold Mouse on top of the library here for Yuchen, so that's another counter on the Sentinel.
Yep.
Oh, too many eggs in one basket, though.
Yeah, and this is very reasonable to keep on top, but it isn't amazing by any means.
Yeah. So that's going to go into the graveyard. Kind of like a pseudo-surveil.
Yep, and now we have the ability to crack this food to stop the bleeding a little bit. But Etienne has perfect information right now, knowing that it's a mountain in hand as it was revealed off a map. And they also drew second black source, which is going to help a lot.
Nice. Oh, down to 6 goes Yuchen Liu again.
Go ahead. 9?
I think our co-leader of the tournament is in a bit of a pickle here.
Yep, absolutely. And Yuchen played down. There were 3 people at 10 and 1. And so it looks like we will have only 1 player with 1 loss after this.
Yep.
And those players, that 1 player will be playing a win-in and have
Yeah.
many win-ins.
Oh, yes.
Once you hit
indeed.
12 wins before that last round, of course, you're removed from the tournament in the best way. As
Yeah,
you go straight to the top 8 and you
Go
get to relax.
sit down and, you know, have dinner and relax.
There you go.
It's always the nicest thing to do at the end of day 2. And just a reminder for everyone who's going to be tuning in tomorrow, it is best 3 out of 5. Single elimination, so you play that match, you got to win it to keep playing Magic.
Absolutely.
Sideboarding will start in game 3. That's for tomorrow's top 8.
So we got the level up, and we're just going for max level here. And
Whee!
that, yeah, this should be it,
Oh.
because you have the go for the throat for the Sentinel, and now you're going to be able to animate your creature land, attack for 8, and play Hopeless Nightmare
Yeah.
for 10 damage. Eggenschwiler's got this with a relatively easy win from
That-
them.
yeah.
This was kind of a beating.
Yuchen put up a good fight there.
Yeah.
You know, got a little lucky that Etienne didn't draw absolutely perfectly, but that is going to be enough to get the win here for Etienne Eggenschwiler. 2-0 with Esper Pixie, making it look very, very gross, but
Yeah.
very easy.
Yep. And Yuchen's only losses in the tournament so far. Didn't lose at all in Limited,
Yeah.
so had the 6-0 for Limited, but lost twice to the Pixie deck. And
Yeah.
that is kind of the dynamic of this matchup. It is really tough. If the Pixie player draws well, the Gruul player almost can't do anything, you know? But if you stumble at all as the Pixie player, Gruul can just, of course, still run you over, as it's a phenomenal deck. But
All right, well, Esper Pixie doing very well indeed. Congrats again to Etienne. We have one more match to show you from this round. We'll be right back after this to see who is going to be our tournament leader. Welcome back to coverage of Pro Tour Ether Drift here in Chicago. It is round 12, all constructed all the time from here on out. The standard format is spectacular, and we've seen some amazing things here this weekend, not just in the Pro Tour area, but also at the Magicon happening alongside it. Ailey learning alongside Corey Baumeister in the match. And we are super excited to get to the next match, which is going to feature our two co-leaders.
Yep.
Two Matts. Apparently, if you're named Matt, you do well at Magic.
A lot of Matt's doing well. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Sperling as well. I mean, come on.
Good grief. All right, Matt, save some for the rest of us here. Matt Nass, of course, our overnight leader alongside Ben Stark, undefeated. Lost a matchup to Yuchen Liu. Is sitting at 10-1 now, playing my favorite deck of the tournament, Domain Overlords, and Matthew Giudes is on the Gruul Mice. Let's see if the Mice can get one back here, Corey.
You know, this is the good matchup here for Gruul. You know, this is what these Gruul decks are supposed to be taking advantage of, because if you don't have that great matchup against Pixie, there's got to be something that you're doing well against in the top three.
Yeah.
And this is supposed to be the matchup. That being said, Matt's list is definitely adjusted for aggressive decks, as he recognizes, you know, hey, I'm pretty good against these bounce decks. I just want to be good against the aggro decks. So his list is featuring 3 temporary lockdowns and 2 Day of Judgments as some extra ways to interact. And yeah, you said it right. Domain has been having a great weekend so far.
Shadowy backstreet to start things off here for Matt Nass. Likes what he sees on top of the library. And passes the turn to Matthew Giudes, who gets our little higher claw down on the battlefield.
Absolutely. Both these players doing incredibly well. Matt just picked up his first loss last round in Limited with that really sweet Izzet deck.
That deck was very cool.
Very nice, yes.
You know, it's always a good feeling when you have a great draft deck and, you know, you just rock with it. And, yeah, so, you know, going into Constructed, you got to be feeling a little like, you know, gassed up about that.
Yep,
so.
absolutely.
Oh.
And Matthew up top did qualify for this event by top 8ing the Australian Regional Championship with Mice, but Rakdos there in Pioneers. So no stranger to the Mice aggressive package for sure.
Little Lizard getting in there, getting upgraded as well, courtesy of the Innkeeper's Talent. And up the Beanstalk in the bin. That's not where you want to see it.
Yeah, that's kind of where you want it in this matchup. It's just sometimes too slow. Of course, if it was in play here, you had the Ride's End, and that would have been amazing. But, yeah, as it stands, you just don't have time to play up the Beanstalk all the time, especially when you're on the draw. Matt was on the play here. But
Fair. And then you got to put beans in the dirt to make them grow, but I understand what you mean. Yes, this matchup can be over before you get any of the value off of the Beanstalks. So prioritizing digging for the Day of Judgments, like you mentioned, the lockdowns, because that pretty much just shuts things down entirely.
Yeah,
for Matthew.
absolutely. And I do see an up the Beanstalk we just drew now, so we're all good to go. I see Zura as well, but maybe not a ton of lands. See Matt Nass do the trick that you see from a lot of high-level players. Drew the land, put it to the middle of the hand, and then played it just to make sure it wasn't a, hey, I needed this land. Here it is right off the top.
Yeah.
These kind of minor things that you see from the players at the highest level really add up to not giving your opponent any information while they're playing.
Absolutely. It's like, you know, auto-passing the turn in Arena or MCGO. Like, I don't have anything, no.
Yes, exactly. All right, so, I mean, this creature is gigantic, so Matt really needs, like, a Ride's End here, some way to exile it. I did see a Sunfall, and I think we just top-decked a Verge, too, so, wow. That,
lovely.
That was gigantic, because the other removal spell I saw is Get Lost, and, that ain't it.
Yeah, that'll hurt. Nice. Sunfall.
Now,
Give a little incubator.
That by no means guarantees Matt the win here, as this Innkeeper's Talent is going to boost up a lot of creatures.
Yeah.
We see Screaming Nemesis, which can come down right now for 5 damage. So Matt Nass is still in a rough spot here.
A Matt and a Matthew.
Yeah.
Okay.
Heartfire Hero hits the board here for Matthew. Jeez, that's enormous already.
Yeah, that is gigantic.
Oh, Valiant and the double counters, courtesy of Innkeeper's Talents. So, oh boy. You got any more of them board wipes that exile?
Exactly. Or, you know, worst case, you can just chump block. I saw the white overlord. And there is Zur ready to just, you know, create some havoc at any point. But the one thing different with Matt's list from the other ones is there's no Cavernous Souls, which, you know, Matt was just saying, hey, I don't really care. Nothing's really countering my things. But it does fix your mana a little bit. But you still have Zur all ready to go here as well if you need. Ooh, there's a lockdown.
That is tempting.
You have how many in hand? Okay. 2.
So Matt does have the ability to go lockdown and then hold up mana for Get Lost here for the Screaming Nemesis.
That would effectively wipe the board of everything except the lockdown.
Yep.
Has Matthew got anything main deck to deal with an enchantment?
Not usually. But the one thing about Matthew's list is he does have some reach. Instead of Torch the Tower, we do a Burst Lightning and a full 4 of.
Wow. Oh, yeah, okay. That could be a fun game plan to work towards.
Oh, I think that was a monstrous rage off the top, so good temporary lockdown.
Yeah, imagine that guy could have been enormous.
So this is going to be interesting. Matt's probably not going to want to block as it would be dealt damage, and then you get that really fun emblem of you can't gain life anymore.
Yeah.
And Matt is in the market of gaining some life this game.
Abso-freaking-lutely. With Zur Eternal Schemer on the board here, we want to be animating a big-ish enchantment just to pad the life total here a little bit. But the only thing available right now is temporary lockdown.
Yeah, and lockdown's not so bad. You know, you can at least attack for 3, go up to 10 here, and only attack when it wouldn't die because you never want to give Matthew those cards back underneath it. Worst case, you do get a beanstalk of your own, but yeah, it's looking very good for Matt Nass so far.
Looks like Get Lost is going to take care of the Screaming Nemesis before it can do any nonsense with a Witch Stalker's Frenzy, for example. A couple map tokens. Hired Claw could still get pretty big.
And now we'll see. I think Matt has the ability to Impending an Overlord if he wants. And maybe this is a little riskier.
A hard cost? No, he is impending it. Okay.
Impending it, so now this is a little bit of a cost. We do see the last card in hand is kind of the card Matt doesn't want to see, and that is a Monstrous Rage. So if you can map this Hired Claw up a lot, and then Monstrous Rage, there's a chance that this could be a lethal swing. You don't want to be hitting lands, that's for sure.
No, absolutely not. Oh, come on.
Brutal.
Jeez.
Yeah, let's see. If that Hired Claw would have got the 2 counters, you would have been able to get it to 3, pump it itself to 4, 1 damage with the ping. So that's 5, and then Monstrous Rage is +3. So would have been 8. Still wouldn't have been enough with the blockers here from Matt, but it would have gotten very close.
Zer's got a big old booty, and then the 2 ones, you know, they do their best.
Exactly, and maybe Matt Nass doesn't make the correct amount of blocks, but let's get real.
Yeah,
Matt Nass. He knows about Monstrous Rage. I can say with some large confidence.
Yeah.
That is certainly a card you play around anytime you see a mountain available.
Yep. And that was a big game for Matt Nass to win. You know,
absolutely.
The die roll in this match is huge, which Matt got, and then winning that first game is big. Now Matt's deck gets to be a little more focused. You get some more Elspeth Smites in, maybe some Obstinate Balos, and his deck really does seem pretty much ready for the Gruul matchup in the main deck. There's not a lot Matt actually changes post-board.
15.
I will buff.
Okay.
Yep. So take another 2, 4.
11.
Yes.
Getting a lot of damage in there.
Okay, and no play from Matt here in the first 2 turns, so really brutal here. You got to have something good here, and something good was played.
Temporary lockdown MVP.
Lockdown has looked amazing all weekend, whether it be from Ben Stark's Orzhov deck or here from Matt. So really, really strong to be able to exile these threats instead of just destroy them.
Yeah. This Gruul deck, though, the way it's comprised, you know, it puts up a good fight even if it gets locked down like this. And you can see, you know, Matthew Giudes has got a board reassembled. Now just has to get lucky and avoid board wipes.
Exactly. And we have a Zur here from Matt Nass as at least something to do here. It's not great as it can't block this Heartfire hero like at all. And we at least saw an Emberheart Challenger here from Matthew, so you can play that, target it with the Innkeeper's Talent, and essentially draw an extra card here, which is always nice.
Okay, going for the level up first.
Okay.
I'll be in combat. Double strike counter. Valiant.
Yeah,
Attack.
good.
Basically have to chump
Yeah.
block that.
I don't think I want to go to 1.
I would think not, sir.
The one thing that Matt has here, I believe we saw Biza and a Leyline Binding, so that's some
nice.
good stuff to play, but you know, if you can give this Heartfire hero trample and double strike, Biza looks embarrassing.
Poor elk. It's
Yeah.
doing its best. 3 tapped here for Matt Nass.
Yeah, so-
Where does he go to first? There's an Overlord of the Hauntwoods, which can, you know, provide a little ramp. Doesn't do much in the way of blocking, though.
One thing it does is it makes Leyline cost 1.
That is true.
So Matt Nass is trying to line up Overlord and Pend, Leyline Binding, the gigantic Heartfire hero,
Sure.
and then pay the 1 ward. That's a nice little play. And
I'll
if
suspend this thing,
Yep.
get it everywhere.
classic gamer that's been around for a while, I'll suspend this. It's close enough.
Yeah. Impend, suspend.
Yeah.
This thing.
It all ends the
You
same.
pay for the order already?
Yep.
Did that, paid for the ward, so did it aggressively
Yeah.
there.
Didn't even wait for combat or anything.
Yeah, didn't wait, you know, and I think, you know, Matthew probably wouldn't be
I'll
putting
be in
all his eggs in
combat,
one
counter,
basket,
Double
but
strike. Valiant trigger.
Yeah.
Exiles the land off the top, Restless
I will hit
Ridgeline.
you for 6.
6 down to 5.
didn't attack
Okay.
with the
Manifold
mouse, which is interesting. Trying to
Yeah.
hold back for Zur, but I mean, if Zur comes, it's basically over,
Yeah.
as it usually is.
Yeah. Gain some life.
Yes.
Yeah.
What would we gain there? 5,
I'll leave it
6?
on top.
Yeah, would do some damage for sure. If you had an untapped land, you'd just, you know, gain 11.
Yeah, no big.
Oh,
It's another Leyline Binding.
this take
Excellent.
reward.
And then
Or-
Biza, where you can
What?
get the life and the card.
I'll play this.
That's
I
cool.
gain 4 to 9. And draw.
Yeah.
And then
Ah, Biza.
Beautiful.
What a great catch-up card you are.
Yep.
Very nice sequencing from Matt Nass to put himself in a good position here. And now Matthew is in a really rough spot. I saw Screaming Nemesis. And yeah, you can pump this, play the Nemesis, put the counter on it, give it double strike. And yeah, that's just really not close.
Big thing here from Matthew Giudes. Trying to level or even things up here against Matt Nass. Screaming
In
Nemesis
combat,
hits the board.
counter here.
Uh-huh.
Hit for 4.
In
And
for
you have
4.
me at 9.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll take 4 down to
5.
Yep, so Matt just saying, hey, I want to gain some more life if
Yeah.
possible. We'll see. If there's a Zur in hand, it's just over.
You just basically treat the Screaming Nemesis like it is Death Touch, because
Pretty
in,
much.
in essence, that's what it spells.
All right, that's game.
Good grief.
I'll
2, what,
do,
7 sevens?
Yeah, I mean, 2 6/6s for the Leyline
6/6s,
Binding.
yeah.
Yeah.
Grief.
I think that might have been a top deck as well. I did not
I
see
think
that in
so,
hand
yeah.
before. So far, you know, Matt has drawn Zur at some opportune times. And, you know, when you're doing this well on a Pro Tour, you got to be playing well. You got to get a little lucky in some spots.
Oh,
I'll go 4.
don't you know, Corey? A wizard is never late.
4, I go to 7.
There you go. There you go.
Arrives precisely when he means to. So down
Right
to
on
4
time.
goes Matthew, up to 17 goes Matt Nass. And you got to think that is all she wrote for this one.
Yeah, whenever you have that one connection against the aggressive deck, it's too much to come back. So
Here's the game.
Matt Nass is still our tournament leader.
Heck yeah, Matt Nass. He's like, you know what? I don't like sharing this podium. I'm going to take
Yeah.
it all to myself. And improves his run, and he's now 1 match win away from locking up a top 8.
Yeah, has 4 win-in-ins, essentially. 3 guaranteed win-in-ins.
Yes.
If you have to wait for that 4th one, then it gets a little shakier. But Matt has a solid chance to be our first player into the top 8 tomorrow, which is really exciting. Good for him.
That is awesome. So congrats to Matt Nass. Matthew Giudes still doing exceptionally well, so
Yep.
keep going there, sir. We're going to go to one more match here from our feature match area. It is going to be Dawson Courson up against Christopher Leonard. We're going to jump into game 2 here. Another Domain Overlords deck for my pleasure alone, and Esper Pixie on the other side of things in the hands of Dawson. I don't know who to root for here, though.
There you go. Yes,
They're both Canadian.
Gotta love it. And we've really seen all the big 3 in action so far. The Pixie against Gruul, the Gruul against Domain, and now we have the Domain against Pixie.
Yeah.
And so far, based on how these matches are quote-unquote supposed to go, they've went that way for the first 2 matches. Pixie's supposed to beat Gruul, Gruul's supposed to beat Domain. Oh yeah, never mind. Matt won with Domain. So yeah, it's been split on that regard, but Domain should be favored against Pixie as well. So we'll see if Domain is just kind of S tier so far.
So this is a post-board game. Christopher Leonard picked up the first game between these two. So from Dawson's side of things on Esper Pixie, what tools is he looking for in the next few hands?
Yeah, you know, trying to get pressure onto the battlefield, being able to do kind of what we saw from Eggenschwiler here a little bit earlier, is have those aggressive Hopeless Nightmare Pixie-style draws. You know, you don't really want to get the value draws as much, you know, the Overlords, Pixies, that kind of thing. You really want to be attacking their hand, but yeah, it looks like Dawson also mulliganed to 5 here, so not a good start for sure.
We've got double talents down on the board here, so a couple otters getting damage in where they can.
And that is some good pressure. If you can have maybe land 3 and this town ain't big enough to bounce these Storm Chasers talent, get 2 prowess triggers a turn, that can be a solid way to pressure Domain. But yeah, you really got to do it fast, as we've seen the late game from Domain. It just looks so powerful.
You're basically just sitting there watching them do everything that their deck can possibly do.
Yeah.
And then eventually you die, so.
Yeah, Domain has looked a lot better this event. Being able to kind of make the mana better, that's always been the struggle. And, you know, with kind of getting away from Cavern of Souls and kind of being more of an Abzan / maybe 4-color with blue deck, you really get to add some consistency to the power.
Yep, Elspeth Smite taking care of one of the critters. And in response, Dawson bounces both of the Storm Chasers' talents to hand.
And no 3rd land, though, so did have that kind of draw that you know, I was talking about, that you want to be able to have this pressure with these otters, but you needed the 3rd land there to get another otter into play. Just 1 creature here. Domain is very, very good at dealing with 1 creature.
Yeah, and you know, the Pixie deck doesn't apply as much pressure as the Gruul deck would, so
Definitely.
Christopher's not too afraid to go down to, you know, like 6 or 5 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Hey, there we go, Concealed Courtyard to get the white source.
Okay, perfect draw. Now, that being said, I do see from Christopher, I see Obstinate Baloth in hand, so if the Hopeless Nightmare plan is left in from Dawson and it gets played here, that is some bad news bears for
Absolutely.
any Esper Pixie gamers.
Yeah. Finally able to get down the Nurturing Pixie, and bouncing back the talent to hand, replays it, so these little otters are quite large.
Yep. So can at least get in 0 damage because it's a 3/3, but
Sure,
at least you're setting up for next turn.
Yeah, next turn. It's going to be totally fine.
Well,
Don't
that's a
worry
day of
about
judgment
it.
off the top from Christopher. So if Christopher ever wants to just throw away a Zur here,
It's
can
not,
do
it's
so.
Not, it's not totally fine.
It's not.
I may have lied.
Yeah. We did
Land
see
4 in hand?
We did see a Leyline Binding as well. We don't have full Domain, but it does cost 2. So if Christopher has land 4, can Leyline Binding and activate Zur as just a phenomenal play.
Oh, that is land, right? Top of the hand?
Looks like
Yeah,
it. Not
okay.
positive. Yep. Okay, so has that play ready to go, as long as those aren't maybe verges. And I
Yeah, no, that's all the surveil lands.
actually, that blue-white one.
Oh, the
might be
blue-white one
verge.
is a
Yeah.
flood farm.
So that would mean Leyline Binding does cost 3. So that play looks a lot less exciting.
Sure.
So now, I believe we did see a green Overlord as well, which is uncastable. So we're seeing a bit of the struggles from the domain mana base, where if your mana doesn't agree with you, sometimes it's a little awkward.
Tap into here, going for the Leyline Binding, taking one of the otters.
Oh yeah, of course.
Oh, nice.
The island does unlock the 4th type there, so that play is online. And Christopher wanted to do this proactively to be able to for sure turn this Leyline Binding into a creature, especially it doesn't have anything underneath it. So it is just a solid 6/6 lifelinker hexproof.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, hexproof, yeah. Even better.
Even better.
Azure.
And now 3 cards from Christopher. We see Overlord, Day of Judgment, and the Baloth. And one bit of information we know from Dawson is that 2nd Storm Chaser talent should be hanging around in hand still. But rough spot here, because now you need 2 removal spells, one for Zur and then one for the binding.
And yeah, evasion not going to help in this one, because Pixie will just meet Zur in the air.
Yeah, and of course you can just level this, get back, this town ain't big enough, and try to do something next turn, but you know, Christopher is just like, all right, a turn of reprieve, sweet. Now it's time to attack with a, you know, make your own Baneslayer Angel, essentially, with this Leyline Binding.
Oh boy. Still can't cast the Overlord, huh?
Unless we do a green source, doesn't look like it.
Oh, 6, sorry. I'm at 14, you're at 22.
Such a huge swing.
Yeah, that's big old life swing. Oh,
that was a good top deck.
That
was a good top deck. So now you have to deal with Zur right now or the game ends. As if you ever get to animate this Overlord and attack, it's completely over. And that's the squeeze that Domain puts you in when you're the Esper Pixie deck, is removal is bad against Domain, but removal is needed against the Zur plan, so it really stretches you thin from the Esper Pixie side, as you want some removal, but you also need to be very proactive and put on a clock. So Destroy Evil ends up being like the best card, as it hits the removal spells, hits Leyline Binding, and it can deal with Zur.
Yeah.
But outside of that, there's no like slam dunk sideboard card against Domain, which makes this match really tricky.
You need a big reset button. That's what you need against this deck. So much value the longer the game goes. And, you know, just look at the difference in what the players are doing with their turns. It's just another Storm Chaser talent.
Exactly. You can't.
Overlord and one of my Storm Chasers.
So I can target that because it's not a creature just yet.
Yep.
It's 2 prowess triggers. Yep.
And yeah, that's smart. You kind of have to do it now, because if you wait till Christopher's turn, you know, you go to target it in response to a Zur trigger, you can just turn it again, animate it again.
So these otters are substantially sized.
Yeah. But whenever you're bouncing the thing that has a great come into play ability, you know you feel pretty bad about this.
I'll take 8. Okay.
Takes 8, trades with the Pixie.
Yep.
Yeah, normally taking 8, huge. Like, that's a big deal. But when you're gaining 6 no matter what on the crackback, you took 2.
Yeah. All right, Christopher. Can you wrap this up here and now? Let's see. Land off the top. Day of Judgment, essentially a blank piece of cardboard at this point.
Yep. And just going to be an easy slam down that Overlord once again and say, you know what, Dawson, if you just want to keep doing that,
I'm fine with it. I'll just go free,
with that.
free 2-1. 2 2-1s each turn.
Exactly. Christopher may be getting that value over turn of level up talent, you know, be able to bounce the Overlord over and over again, and that's great if the Overlord wasn't bringing extra stuff along with it.
Yeah.
But this is not a sustainable game plan from Dawson, so Dawson will have to find something, and it kind of begins with Destroy Evil on Zur to stop the mayhem here.
13.
Man, who'd have thunk it we'd see Zur all this time after the set released?
Yeah, no kidding. Definitely just didn't have a home until you got the Overlord.
Until
the Overlord
came along,
really turned that card on. Leyline binding with that was always kind of cool.
Yeah.
But you didn't want to just be an Esper deck and not have full domain. So Overlord of the Hauntwood really turned on Xur for sure.
Swing in here with the 6/6 and the 2/1. So another big life swing.
Yeah, and a good tell for anyone watching at home whenever domain is winning, when they attack, they're usually winning.
Yes.
That's a good signal. And with Matt Nass crushing it with domain, and now Christopher looking to win with domain here,
Yeah.
will be a couple of wins away from the top 8, easily looking like the deck of the tournament.
I think so too. It had the best performance overnight. And it looks to be pretty well positioned here at this weekend's Pro
Well,
Tour.
technically, Ben Stark's Orzhov Pixie list had the best, as that was the only player with a 100% win rate from
Yes.
Ben. But yeah, all right. With a larger sample size, you are
Ben's still
100%
got some work to
right.
do, okay? If he
For
makes it into
sure.
the top 8 and then, you know, wins the whole darn thing, then sure, that's the deck of the tournament.
Yeah, absolutely. Had a rough draft, though, so might be in a rough spot for that. So there's land 6. Now you do have the talent. This town ain't big enough line. Online, you can do that basically every turn. But it's, once again, what do you do? Do you just keep bouncing the Overlord? Do you bounce the Xur? Like, none of the lines point to anything
Grab the discount.
too amazing.
Dawson doing his best here, you know. He's also got to keep spinning his wheels until something off the top of the deck plays nice with the current board state. But, you know, while Xur's hanging out there, next turn is going to be painful because that Overlord of the Mistmoors is going to join in on the fun.
Yep, absolutely.
He's got no flyers. Xur plus the insects.
Yep.
You know, just that alone is enough.
Yeah, and this feels like just kind of desperation as Christopher, as long as he goes for it, just go, hey, animate Overlord, and if you go to do something in response, just animate it again.
Yeah. Target, target.
Move to combat.
Now, the one thing I guess that Dawson's trying to line up is bounce the Xur here so there's no lifelink and try to have something on the crackback, and maybe that's possible. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, never. That is going to do it. Christopher Leonard picks up a pretty clean 2-0 there to improve his record to 10-2. So 2-1 wins for him, and top 8 looks pretty good.
Yeah, if you can piece together a 2-1 there from Christopher, you are able to just automatically be into the top 8. You don't want to pick up that 12th win on that last round, as then your fate is up to the tiebreakers. So yeah, Christopher hoping to win 2 of the next 3 for sure.
Yes, keep your fate in your own hands and win before round 16, players. We have one more match to show you, friends. We're going to jump in here. We do not have one more match to show you, unfortunately. We are going to go to the news desk.